It's known as McKamey Manor, the most outrageous haunt in the country.
I just died, dude.
These people are f***ing crazy. Hey, I'm Kevin Biniaz, and welcome back to Legal Lunch Break. Today, we are talking about liability waivers, and specifically in the context of haunted houses. Every year during Spooktober, disembodied spirits around America make a killing by inhabiting commercially viable haunted houses. While the ghosts might be getting rich, the owners of the businesses could stand to lose a lot of money if somebody actually got hurt. Most of these haunted houses are innocent, but Netflix's documentary series Haunters, The Art of the Scare, looks at the extreme haunted houses, the ones with real danger, where people are locked in coffins, submerged in cages, waterboarded, or even physically assaulted.
You're gonna die soon. This is where you die. Go on out!
The guests choose to do this, but first, they must sign a waiver. Today, we'll try and answer the question, how far can a waiver go? Can it stop a lawsuit? How much abuse can you legally subject yourself to by signing a waiver? Let's look at some scenes.
We've drafted the waiver.
Obviously, there was something that goes on. Disclaimers are created for a reason, which was
You're
also
right,
an indication to me that there's risk involved there, and I'm very
True.
risk adverse because
Participant fully understands that injuries that may occur, head, neck, and back injuries, death, stroke, traumatic brain injury, brain aneurysms, cerebral or retinal hemorrhage, subdural hematoma, loss of consciousness, whiplash, harmful heart reactions, nausea, headache, dizziness, lacerations, broken or sprained bones, torn ligaments, bleeding wounds, scrapes and or cuts, heat stroke, or drowning. Now let's see if they hold up to their promise.
I can't breathe.
That's the only way to save him. Wake up. What are you doing? Wake up. Come back to the...
She's frozen. Like, she's not moving. She's not blinking at all. She's just absolutely frozen.
Please get me out of the chair. Please get me out of the chair. I want out of the chair.
So that's about 20 seconds of one person saying, let me out of the chair, probably 4 or 5 times. That raises a different question. What about this whole idea that you're being held somewhere without permission, without consent? And most people would think about kidnapping, but in tort law or in the civil courts, we have what's called false imprisonment. And if you are being held somewhere, constrained somewhere, against your will, and you no longer want to be there, you probably have a claim for at least false imprisonment, and the chances are these liability waivers didn't address that.
I want out. I want out. I want out.
That is abuse. That is assault, at least in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure the law.
And I'm pretty sure you're right.
There's live snakes in this room, Reese.
Oh, God.
You said there was
We lied.
nothing that said about it.
We lied.
Now that's interesting. If you're handed a liability waiver and you sign it, you don't ask any questions, you're probably agreeing to kind of the generic stuff. Yeah, I agree I may get hurt. Yeah, I agree that certain things may happen to me. But if before you go in, you say, hey man, I'm only gonna go in if you promise me there aren't any snakes. And the owner says, well, yeah, I promise you, no snakes. And then you get in and there are actually snakes, well, then you have an issue of whether you actually came to an agreement at all before you signed the liability waiver. And if there is no agreement, and if that liability waiver was only signed by you because the guy told you no snakes, you probably have a case that you can bring to court successfully. And especially if you've got them on camera saying, we lied, that's good evidence. If you watch the documentary, you ask yourself, it seems like they're living in their own little universe that the laws don't apply to, and to a certain extent, that's true. Do the people that are in this universe or in this world even want the law to apply? You know, it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt. And then once somebody does get hurt, that's when we have to decide, how does the law step in to either fix this, or does it step in at all? So when we started, we asked a simple question. How far can a waiver go? And the answer, just like any great lawyer answer, is it depends. In certain states like Virginia, even if you sign the waiver, the chances are that a court won't enforce it. Now, that means that they may not enforce it to stop the lawsuit, But it's important to understand that there's a difference between stopping a lawsuit and something being used as evidence in a case. And that comes into play when we're talking about a concept called assumption of risk. If you go skydiving, or if you go bungee jumping, or if you go to a trampoline park, there are certain risks that we all sort of understand that come along with that. If you sign a liability waiver, you may still have the right to sue for any injuries that happen, but that liability waiver may be used against you in a courtroom to say that you assumed that risk. And the takeaway is this. First, read the waiver. The second takeaway is don't take the waiver for granted, because the facts do matter. When you signed it, what the conditions were when you signed it, what the waiver even says, all of those things play a role in determining whether or not that waiver means anything at all. The only way you know is if you get that question answered for yourself in your specific circumstance. So get yourself the waiver, go see a lawyer, and get some legal advice. Thanks for spending your lunch break with me. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.